Lacrosse community, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Berns. I'm the president of the Lacrosse Leadership Institute. I'm so excited for our guest today. He's brought lacrosse to the next level out on the East Coast, and he's here to share his story as well as the mission of Howard Community College Lacrosse with us all so that we understand a little bit more about how lacrosse not only affects our own lives, but affects the lives around us. Please help me welcome Erik Foust. And Erik, can you please start by sharing a little bit more about your story and how you got involved in lacrosse in the first place?
Thank you very much, Ryan. I really appreciate this opportunity. Yeah, my story is pretty wild. I first picked up a lacrosse stick when I was a junior in high school. It was actually in the middle of my junior year. And, I'm originally from the Detroit area. I grew up in a small city next to Detroit called Grosse Pointe, and I grew up in Grosse Pointe Woods. And I was a baseball player my whole life. I loved baseball. I loved, the Tigers, and I was a huge fanatic for baseball. But this one winter evening, I received free tickets to the Detroit Turbos, and it was the new indoor lacrosse team, and it was playing at Joe Louis Arena. And I had read about these twins that this Detroit team had just drafted from Syracuse, and they were, the number one pick in the draft, and they came as a pair. And so I got free tickets, didn't know anything about the game, and I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with the game. I left Joe Louis Arena that night knowing that I needed to play this game and I needed to get a stick immediately. And, the Michigan area at the time, there was only about 21 high schools that had lacrosse. And this is in 91. And, and so at the time there was just, I think it was 21, 22 teams, mostly clubs because the state didn't sanction the sport. And so Grosse Pointe North, my high school, started a club team that spring, and I joined the club, and I really enjoyed hitting people, and that was about my, the extent of my expertise that junior year. Picking up some ground balls here or there. I think I scored a couple goals, if I remember correctly, but that summer and, the entire spring, and once I got the stick, it never left my hands. And so I spent every free second I had on the wall or on a goal. There was a private middle school 2 blocks away from my house, and they had a lacrosse team, and I would go up there after school and shoot every single day, and during the weekend, of course, as well. There wasn't any clubs or anything. There were some indoor leagues that I played in, but the game, took over my life. And so I wasn't a very good student. I graduated with, a low 2.3, 2.4. But my senior year of playing lacrosse, I did very well. I was all state, first team. I was like team MVP, all this, and I played in the state all-star game with all the other private school kids, and had 2 goals and an assist in that game. And I was so passionate about it, but because of my grades, I only had one opportunity to really go away and play. I had a couple, but the one that I actually went on a visit and they offered me was Northwood University, and it was playing for a gentleman by the name of Ronald Hebert. And Ron and I are pretty good friends. I haven't talked to him in years, so hopefully I can reach out to him or he reaches out to me, because I haven't said his name in a long time. But he was, you could say, one of the big names in Michigan lacrosse. He was the head coach at Brother Rice High School for a number of years, and I think after Rice, he took over the Northwood program. So at the time, there was just 2 college teams in Michigan, varsity teams. It was Northwood and it was Michigan State, and both of them are no longer around. they may have, I know Michigan State has a club program, but I don't know if Northwood does. But Michigan State at the time was Division I. So I could have gone to Northwood. My parents were against it because it was so expensive. And, I continued to play in like men's leagues and whatnot, but I had to go to the local community college, which is Macomb Community College. And I spent a year and a half there, and I transferred to Western Michigan, and I transferred there mid-year. And so that spring, I did not play on the club team at Western. But I played my final 2 years at Western and just fell back in love with the game. And after I graduated from Western, I looked into grad schools where I could go play. And I found a job in England as a lacrosse development officer for the English Lacrosse Association. And, I went over there, and I'd never been to Europe. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And it was the best 2 years of my life. When I was there, I met my boss at the club that I was working for, Poynton. We started selling lacrosse equipment. But the whole moral of the story is I was over there, and I was able to coach and teach lacrosse and play. And I was going into these elementary schools teaching kids how to play lacrosse, and it was great because I'm a physical education teacher, and so my background really helped me going into these schools and teaching. And subsequently, the club that I was working for, they were really struggling in numbers, but their numbers just exploded. And it was such an exciting time. And then to go back to what I started saying, was my boss at the time, or one of the guys who was like he was head of the youth program with the club. We noticed that there was no Warrior lacrosse equipment in England. Very few people had it. And so, being from Michigan, I reached out to Warrior, and one thing led to another, and we started selling Warrior lacrosse equipment in England and in Manchester. And right now, UK Lacrosse, the name of the company, it's the largest distributor of equipment in all of Europe. So that allowed me to travel and play and coach all over Europe, which was just amazing. And so I spent 2 years over there. I came back to Michigan, and I got a teaching and coaching job at the University of Detroit Jesuit High School and Academy, right in the city of Detroit. And I took over a program that was struggling, but the guys worked hard. My coaches did an awesome job, and we did really well. We ended up getting to the Final Four that first year, and we got to the Final Four in my 4 years there. We lost in the state championship in my third year there. But during that time, I was still going back and forth to England. I was working camps, playing in tournaments, and in the summer of 2015, I'm sorry, not 2015, the summer of 2005, I went to the London Lacrosse tournament, London Lacrosse Open, I think was the name of it, and I met my son's wife, or I met my son's mom, and we did a long distance relationship. She's from here in Maryland, and we ended up getting married, and we had a son, and that's why I'm in Maryland now.
Oh my gosh, Erik, what a story. Thank you so much for sharing how you got involved and how this life has unfolded. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what is your pinnacle moment via lacrosse, or what are a few of those highlights that you have?
That's a great question. Early on, I guess I could say I have three. The first one would be getting the opportunity to go over to England and coach and help build this Poynton club. Poynton has now become one of maybe it might be the best program, the best club in England now. And, you know, when I was there in my first year, I was able to recruit a lot of the kids. At the time they were kids, now they're grown men or they're adults. A lot of the guys that are now playing for the English national team. And so the point and program really grew significantly. And that was, that's something I'm very proud of. And then the next two have to be the two times I brought teams to a state championship and then a national championship, and we lost by one in each one. So, you know, but I look at those opportunities and those, you know, those games as something that, you know, really helped shape who I am as a coach now. You know, so it's those two losses, you know, are probably the biggest two, you know, instances or events in my coaching career as of right now. You know, and of course my mission, my goal at HCC is to get guys to play NCAA 1, 2, or 3. And Ryan, my dog's barking, so let me go close the door. All right.
I appreciate it, Erik, and appreciate you sharing those pinnacle moments. I know for myself, we have times where we push and we prod and we miss our goal just by a little bit, but it keeps that monkey on our back. We're hungry. We're excited. We try to bring whatever experience we had to that next challenge we put in front of ourselves. And I think that's what makes a good leader, is someone who can take those tough moments and turn it into a positive. For yourself, what does leadership mean to you?
Well, at the current moment, really leadership's all about influencing people, you know, and really showing, I think, by your own behavior, demonstrating, you know, how you can work to be the absolute best you can be. With HCC, our mission, our goal is to give our student athletes the opportunity to play on an NCAA 1, 2, or 3 team. You know, and so each day, you know, my goal is to demonstrate and provide opportunities for guys to compete in a manner, not only on the field, but off the field, so that they're ready to step into an NCAA program and contribute on and off the field. It's more important for them to be a solid student more so than player. But more than that, it's, I can't tell you how important it is that they're a good person. So, you know, we really, really harp as a program, and my assistant coaches are amazing at, you know, developing young men to be, you know, leaders. We provide the opportunity for guys to teach each other in practice. So, you know, there'll be times where I'll turn the drill or turn the system over to my players and kind of put them on the spot and make them uncomfortable, you know, but the goal behind that is that they'll be able to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And so, you know, when a game's on the line, or, you know, someone needs to, you know, do something big in a game at the end of the game or whatever, they're not phased. And that translates over to real life too. And so we always try to, you know, bring up real life and why it matters to do things the precise and I guess you could say perfect way, because, you know, having that mentality is going to translate, you know, over to, you know, real life when they're not playing a game.
That's the most crucial thing, is recognizing, first of all, to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because as you said, Erik, this game translates to the real world so well. It provides so much value to us in so many different ways. For yourself, Erik, how has lacrosse impacted your life in the real world?
Well, I'll be honest, lacrosse has given me everything I have. Um, I moved to Maryland and met my first wife, my ex-wife, but my son's mother, because I was at a tournament in London. And then with that being said, my son is 14 now, and I'm remarried, and lacrosse has opened so many doors for me. Despite the fact that I wasn't a NCAA player, it's given me so many opportunities. I've made so many friends, and it's just really helped shape who I am. I can think back on when I was a player and I was playing, club at Western, and my goal was to transfer after Western and go play NCAA because, but the playing part and the team part wasn't, and scoring goals and looking at my stats and being all worried about that. That's the stuff that really doesn't matter all that much. It's the relationships and the experiences that I was able to build. So the game's really helped me put things in perspective, and it's given me an opportunity to look at things in different lights. Being a 45-year-old husband and father of 2 kids, I'm not stressing out when I get home about our man up play not working in practice. But I certainly did, 10 years ago, and so really it's helped put things in perspective and, given me a nice outlook on life.
I love that. I think there's a flow in the game, and it takes that ease and the flexibility to be able to make things happen. And like you said, you can take that to your life and just go with the flow, take things as they come, whether it's fate or whatever people believe in it. It's really a nice way to view life and to stay engaged, loving one another. Those relationships you talk about are so important. And I know we can talk about this, about how we benefited from the game, and it's hard to tell the youth that and let them see what's happening years, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. But it makes such a big impact, and sharing these stories is so huge. If you were to talk to current youth right now, so think of your son, maybe the high school kids that really want to play at that next level, what are some of the things that they can focus on, especially when they do have a turbulent life right now with COVID? Maybe they're not even going to school. Maybe they're in a place where lacrosse isn't as prevalent as others. How can those kids get to the next level?
Well, skill wise, I would say that, get the stick in your hand as often as possible, and play as many other sports as possible. I think a lot of kids develop poor habits, and they tend to rely on those habits, and whenever they get to middle school or high school, if they still have poor habits, it's going to be tough to get out of those. So I would say spend as much time throwing and catching overhand with both hands as possible, but also just play as many sports. Learn how to compete in different arenas, learn how to play for different coaches. My son is 14. He's a freshman in high school, and he stopped playing soccer last year, and I kind of wish he didn't. We're looking at other sports for him to participate in, but because of COVID, it's kind of shut things down. But I think being a multi-sport athlete is so valuable. And then away from the competing aspect, I think being able to communicate, being able to talk to, your peers and also adults, and understanding what effective communication is, I think is invaluable. I think a lot of the youth today and young adults that I speak with and I recruit and that are on my team, they struggle communicating, face to face and having a talk, because they're so used to using devices, and I think being able to communicate and articulate what you are thinking and and ultimately communicate what you want and what you want to achieve and how you can help others, I think again is invaluable. So, you know, in a nutshell, fundamentals and communication. You want to be able to communicate and talk and have uncomfortable conversations with your teammates and your coaches and your parents and everybody in your life. You know, because that's, in my opinion, that's the only way you're going to grow.
That's such a big point, Erik. I don't, not sure if it even related so big for me until just now. Thinking about that communication, I mean, that's fundamental as well for our life that we're living. We have to be able to have tough conversations. Lacrosse gives us a way to have those tough conversations in a non, it's not impactful to our overall lives. It may be for a season, but it's not going to impact us in the long term if we have a tough time on the field. And that's why it can be a tool to be able to grow and build ourselves. And I think the communication and being able to be loud, be vocal, share what's on your mind and think for yourself really makes an impact. And I'm really glad that you decided to share that aspect with everyone today. So thank you for that, Erik. One thing that I want to make sure, though, is we talk a little bit more about you. Do you have any projects going on right now, or what are you focused on that we can help you with right now?
Honestly, Ryan, I'm focused on my mission at HCC, and I'm focused on being a great husband and teacher. But with lacrosse, my goal is to get guys on my roster opportunities to play at the next level, at NCAA level. And, you know, we've had some very big successes in that aspect the last 4 or 5 years. We've sent kids that had originally committed to Division III schools or had not, you know, really considered playing past, you know, Howard Community College to Division I schools. You know, we've had a lot of success, you know, getting players to significantly improve once they've stepped on our campus, because our goal is, you know, to make guys ready or get them ready to be able to step on the field for their next program. You know, so honestly, I don't have any special projects or anything. I'm starting to, you know, recruit my 21 class. You know, I've been recruiting all summer, my 21s, but I'm getting ready to start signing guys. You know, our signing period starts November 1st. It lasts really all the way until it will last all the way in the fall of 2021. But you know, that's what the focus is right now, and as well as, you know, finishing our fall ball on a strong note. You know, Howard is a very unique school. There's close to 20,000 overall students there, between 8 and 11 undergrad full-time students, 8 and 11,000, and then the rest are continuing ed or adult learners that take classes. Our campus is gorgeous. There are just about every recruit visit I have, the kids and parents are amazed at the size and just the layout of the campus. And to top it off, we're right in the middle of Columbia, Maryland, which was recently voted the #5 city in the country to live by Money Magazine. So it's a very unique place. Kids, we have dozens of kids from out of state, and we have apartments that they can walk to campus from that are literally right across the street. So it's a really unique place, you know, and it's so much cheaper than a 4-year school. But you know, junior college isn't for everybody, and I know that, and I understand that we're probably on the bottom of the list for a lot of you know, kids that are aspiring to play college lacrosse. However, those that really want to, you know, get more looks or improve their grades or become better players and then see where, you know, they can go from there, it's a perfect opportunity.
I think that's such a unique idea and proposition in terms of how you help kids get to the next level if they didn't necessarily do what they wanted during high school. It gives them that extra chance, that the post-grad year, to be able to make a real impact. I know your goal and your mission is to get as many kids as possible to an NCAA school. What's that time frame look like? So if I'm a senior right now or 2021 and I want to get to that next level, but I'm going through Howard, how does that work?
There's a couple of different ways. Oftentimes and especially with COVID's really hurt the 21 class, and I think it's gonna hurt a lot of 22s. But a couple different ways it can work. If a student athlete is an NCAA qualifier, and they haven't gotten the looks that they would like, they could come into Howard and play just a year and go to school for just a year and then transfer after that 1 year with us. If they're not a qualifier, they would need to come to us and get their associates with a 2.5 to become an NCAA Division I player. Not a qualifier as a division and wanting to go Division II, they'd need to have, I believe it's a 2.3 and with 48 credits. So they wouldn't have to get their associates. And Division III changes almost yearly, so I can't give you specific numbers on that, but I believe to go Division III and you're not an NCAA qualifier, you'd have to spend a year at HCC or at a junior college and then transfer. I'm not certain on the number of credits, but we're fortunate we have a student athlete success manager who is up to date on all the NCAA rules and what credits you need and what classes you need to take in order to transfer. So, that's not under my job title any longer, because that's what I was doing as well as coaching and whatnot my first 6 years at HCC. So, and I think I answered your question.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of being a leader as well, though, Erik, is now you're the head, you're the focal, and you're the visionary, but you have teammates that you can bring in that are able to take on those tasks. That way you can focus on what you're best at. This success coordinator can focus on what they're best at. And ultimately, the athlete at the end of the day is the one who benefits. Because they get to be a part of a big program and follow their goals.
Well, certainly. And there's also instances where a student athlete wants to go to a college, wants to go to an NCAA school, but, there isn't a roster spot, or, they just need to improve, this test score, or they are injured. And so regularly I receive calls from NCAA schools and telling me about a certain player, and, that player can come in and, compete with us for a year and then move to that school. So, that's something that has helped us on the field, the last 4 or 5 years, because we've had great success. More NCAA programs know that we exist and know what kind of program we run. So they put trust in us and they have faith in us that we're going to, do the right thing with their athletes that they're recruiting.
That's so cool that you're able to do that and have that impact. And it looks like Mike Bartlett is talking about how much of a legend you are.
Yes.
He says your impact on the UK lacrosse scene is still felt today. He misses you.
Mike is the head coach of Spain, and
so cool.
He was in the under 16 team that won the flags in, what year was that? That was 2001. And that was one of the things that the club managers said to me when I got there, is that the under 16 team needs to win the national flags, and Mike was an attackman on that team, and he was, I think, our leading scorer, a hell of a player, but even better person, and he was under 16, and so I never got a chance, unfortunately, to play with him, but he was a pleasure to coach. That group was great.
That's such a cool experience to be able to have that, and it shows the connectivity of lacrosse as well. You guys were able to take on a huge accomplishment. You're thinking about it today, even though it's years later. And Mike, we appreciate you reaching out and connecting. Erik, is there anything else that's on your mind that you want to make sure that you share with our community?
Just that we're always Howard is always looking for good kids, good people that want to work hard and compete and move on to the next level. We've had kids or student athletes come from South Korea, Germany, England, Canada, so all over the world. And I'd like to think that we run one of the top programs, if not the top program in the country.
Oh, Erik, that's so cool that you got the international focus, you've got the culture, you've got the brand that speaks so loud. Thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of our little podcast today.
Of course, Ryan. Thank you. Thank you so much.